and that students or other community users could go on and learn how to do different things related to accessing library resources.
I'm so thankful that Elena agreed to do this with me, so thank you. So why are you here? What's your why?
Do you want to start, Dave?
I can. Some of it is just knowing sometimes the information we might give out might be easier if we just have a link to sort of walk someone through it. So just wanting to know how.
There is some software that the department uses that we answer a lot of kind of FAQs on, that we thought some sort of video instruction would be easiest for people to learn how to do the basics of those softwares.
Yeah, the same thing here too with within the bookstore, within the employees and stuff like that. We might be able to train them a little bit differently. It sounded like fun.
Same here, documenting workflow processes and things of that nature.
Good.
Same thing.
All right.
I have a new role with international students, and I was thinking that videos might be a good thing for orientation, especially when students quit paying attention. Then you can just direct them back to the video when they ask you questions about something you already told them.
Stepping into big shoes, that's somebody that's created a lot of videos and orientation materials and wants to make sure that we continue.
I don't know, I was just curious and wanted to hear some of both of my former colleagues, and I've always had interest in film video, and thought it's time to start learning the digital side of it and find ways to maybe promote some of our own programming online, document it, and then do some way promoting.
At the International Library Mission Learning, we ways to go students digital platforms and virtually level. So any kind of tool, tips, tricks, skill that you learn today would be great.
So Elena, do you think we can cover some of these things?
I think so.
Yeah. That sounds like a great group to be here. I think that we're able to cover some of those things, or actually most of those things is what we have planned for today. So do you all know each other?
Nope.
If not, can we just give your name and the department that you're in?
Faith and Academic Affairs.
Faith.
Kasha in Institutional Effectiveness.
Angela, assistant in the bookstore.
Heidi in Advancement Services. Tasha in the library.
I'm Christina in the Center for Global Engagement.
Yeah, also in the CG. Beverly, Center for Global Engagement. Please, everyone else, GE.
Okay, great.
You want to clicker or okay. Today, before we start creating videos or talking about, ways to create them, I want to talk a little bit about the best practices, the things to think about when you're creating a video. There's just a couple of, actually some are intuitive, some maybe you hadn't really thought about, but just take a look at these and maybe you can incorporate some of these best practices into the next video that you create. We got this from 6 Tips to creating engaging training videos. If you want to go back to that site and take a look at it, you'll probably get some different information or same information there. The first thing that we find is super important is to connect with your viewer. You need to show yourself. So today we're going to be making videos and you're going to be showing yourself. Yeah, I hope you like, how you look today. But it's important because if people see you, there's a connection made. And you don't have to be the big screen, the whole thing, just have you in the corner someplace. But it's good. So if people connect with you, they're going to listen to you. They're going to take in what you have to say. So that's one of the great things to do. Use appropriate vocabulary. One of the things about people that come from maybe that elementary, middle school educational field, and they go into upper ed. Sometimes when they create videos that are for younger children. Be careful. What vocabulary are you using? Are you using it for older adults? Are you using it for watch culturally, how you're using your language? If you're trying to be, we were talking about this at our house, if you're trying to be hip and cool, once once you're at a certain age, don't try to be hip and cool. It doesn't work. And they don't even use the word hip and cool anymore. And, yeah, you find out all those words you thought you knew, doesn't work. So use appropriate vocabulary and for your topic. So be careful with that you're not saying the thingamajig. Actually say what it is. The other thing is be real. Remember that your appearance matters. So if you want to do something professionally, dress up professionally. If it's something that you want to be casual about, to make a different type of connection, also be aware of your surroundings, what's behind you. So how do you want to connect with people? And you'll see a few videos that were created, and you'll see what's even behind me in the videos that I created. One of the things that I mentioned to Elena, and I wanted to mention to you, I took a DigCom course here at St. Norbert College, and it was online. And Sunday Richards, I don't know if any of you knew Sunday. I didn't meet her before, really, and she was the online instructor. As she was speaking to us, she did it from her home. Her cat, this fat cat, walks in front of her, and she keeps the video rolling. This fat cat, I'm not a cat lover, you know, it's great if you are, that's fine. I'm not. And I'm thinking, what is this woman doing? Why would she keep recording? Why would she stop it? A little bit later, she keeps talking about what we're going to do for the class, and the cat walks behind her and up into the curtains, and I'm watching this cat, and I just didn't understand, but hindsight, it's how I connected with Sunday. It actually made her real. So, not that you need to do videos like that, but it depends what you're trying to portray. So, I mean, think about that when you're creating videos. I mean, I've created very professional, as professional as I need to, videos as well. So, but remember your appearance matters, and then add engaging supplementary material. Not just you, not just a talking head. If you want to add some quizzes into your videos, or any type of open-ended questions and things like that. Okay. Be prepared. Practice before you create your video. How many of you have ever tried to create a video? Okay. How'd it go? A couple of times. How'd it go?
Well, I didn't have to be on the video. It was a recorded webinar. So, but I did have to run through the actual presentation several times and get used to the software and figure out how the software all worked beforehand. Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot of practice.
It is practice, and you should practice beforehand so you know what you're going to say. One of the things that we've talked about, even when we're doing presentations, how many times do you use the word and? If you practice, you can at least eliminate some of them, as you feel better, as you're prepared. The other thing is when you're actually doing the video recording, watch your mic placement. I don't know that people think about that necessarily, but how many of you have been to presentations where they're talking and all the P's go like that? If they would just pull their mic over to the side a little bit, you lose that sound in there. Oftentimes you're going to be doing your videos using your computer. These mics are a little bit better that way. They're a little bit farther away, but you also have to make sure it's not too far away. I tried to do a recording, a video using my phone, which works if I'm right up next to the person. They were a little bit farther away because that mic was so far away. The video, no matter what I did to turn the volume up, it wasn't good. So watch your mic placement and use quality audio and video tools. And when you're editing, use some quality editing tools. And we have some here that you can use right here on campus. But most times your computer and your smartphone will give you great visual, the video part of it. If you need to use a different mic, we have those here on campus, but I found my computer's picked it up pretty nicely. You felt the same way, Elena?
Yeah, I've never used a fancy mic or anything other than my laptop.
So I think that with today's computers, it's going pretty fine. It's going to be fine.
So you really want to think about who your video or your tutorial is for. Susan's going to show you a lot of videos that she's done where it's meant to be very personable. She's trying to connect one-on-one with the person watching that video. I'm going to show you more tutorial style videos where it wasn't really necessary that the person watching know who I was or what I was doing. And actually I brought in someone else to narrate the tutorials that I made because I thought that their voice had a broader, it would have like a broader appeal than my voice would have with someone. They had more of a radio voice. So you really want to think about all the different elements that are create inclusive content on your video. So not only thinking about what you're wearing, but your background, your voice, your tone, the language that you're using, all of those things should be at the top of your mind as you're creating whatever it is that you're going to put out there to be consumed. You also really want to be mindful of accessibility, so thinking about who the person on the other end, are they going to be able to hear you? Is English going to be their first language? Are they going to have like the same vision abilities that you have? You want to think about all of those things in terms of colors that you use, the whole setting that you create with your scene. And you also want to consider cultural diversity. So like I said, is English their first language? Where are they coming from? What are you wearing in terms of like, is that going to potentially offend your audience? So my advice always to people is think about when you imagine your audience, who are you forgetting? Who are you not including? Because a lot of times the person that you're not including will give you a good sense of what other aspects you need to include in your content creation. So in thinking about who you're talking to, this should also guide how long your content is and the format of your content. So you want to make sure you keep it pretty short. The adult attention span is only about 20 seconds a lot of times. So you want to make sure that in those first 20 seconds that you're pulling your viewer in and making sure that your content is immediately relevant to them. So in the session I was just in, we were talking about emails and writing emails and how you want to make sure the primary point of your email is kind of immediately noticeable to that person, and that wants to be, that message wants to carry over to your tutorial, your video as well. Keep it short, be succinct, so that's why it's really helpful if you can write out your narrative or map out your visuals beforehand. You'll know exactly what you're getting into. And you also want to make sure that you're enunciating, speaking slowly and clearly. Again, going back to that, who's your audience piece? Can they understand you or not? How's your voice going to translate over audio? Or your visuals going to translate over the web. And also, Susan added this in, crack a joke. Do whatever you think is appropriate to connect with your audience and include that in your content as well. Maybe you don't crack a joke, but maybe you include pictures or graphics that are going to connect with the person on the other end.
So if you're doing a tutorial, something that's serious, obviously that isn't something to include. But oftentimes we find with our undergraduate students, if there's a little bit of that, a little bit of humor or something, and you know, it's something to think about. So here you go. When you're creating your slides, there's a lot of things you need to be aware of. Okay, watch your color, your images, your font and combination. If you look at this, I mean, some of it sometimes it's hard to read. Be careful with the font that you use or the text that and things that you write. Watch your size. Be careful on that, because when you're looking at that, and some people are going to be watching these on a phone. So be careful. Don't use a lot of words. If you go through this, you're going to see, be sure not to add too much text, because too much text leads to too much reading for the viewer, which leads to no time for listening, which can lead to disinterest, which, you know, okay, on and on. Don't put a lot of text, and we see that over and over again. I know you've seen it when you see presentations, it's too much. So be careful. Less is more in this instance. And watch your backgrounds, watch the movement. We don't want your slide to look like this. Okay, so be careful with that. If you're using slides, screencasts, with those.
You also want to think about if someone is colorblind, can they even see the text that you're using? If you're using various colors, that's not going to look like anything to them.
So be careful with that. And mix it up. If you're doing, you know, when you're doing your video, mix it up a little bit, add talking heads. So sometimes it'll be the webcam on you, but also sometimes it could be slides that are added, screencasts of videos, the types of things like that. Vary the image on the screen, maybe move it around a little bit, so it's different. Otherwise, they're going to be going like fast forward. I see that, and done. So be careful with that. Keep things moving. Remind you though to keep that font and color consistent, because if you get too crazy with it, there's a problem. Kind of like when transitions first came out. I don't know how many of you knew when transitions, probably anyway, when transitions first came out, people would use them in every slide and they would change in all this funky stuff, and every slide would change and it was crazy, and realized that's not the best way to do a presentation or to show things. It's too much and it's distracting in the end. So keep it interesting but not distracting, really, is what we're looking at. So what kinds of videos have you seen, and what kinds of videos do you hope to create? Tell the people at your table first. Talk about what kind of videos have you actually used or watched, and what do you want to create? Go ahead and talk to the people that you're with. YouTube videos. Okay, I've got mine. Send YouTube videos. What other videos have you watched?
Videos on blogs.
Vlogs, okay.
Yeah.
TED Talks?
TED Talks, yeah.
Anybody taking an online course?
Lectures. You know how to do something, I go to YouTube. So I've seen Spectre.
Just children, so, whatever they're watching, right? Yeah, exactly.
My daughter watches
I might get today, but I don't. Or why do I see kids watch videos?
Yeah.
And then people watch Minecraft.
Yeah, they watch, right? They watch.
Instead of playing it themselves, they don't watch
Videos.
I don't get it either.
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So what kind of videos do you want to create? Now, I heard what you're doing. You have like a topic in mind right now?
From my standpoint, working in an we did go forward and create like a video of students wishing a donor to have the anniversary. So we're kind of going that route, creating digital thank yous, things of that nature.
People are gonna need to know how to use several bases, how to do alternative bases, how to submit a ticket,
So like if the teacher, where do you go online? Is really cool.
remove information.
Yeah, and when is it like, you're trying to,
on our website.
No, you're not, yeah, right.
right?
And
And
the
it's something
biggest tool is that.
My daughter is working on her Girl Scout project
And it's really hard for me to convince them that they need to explain something for general for someone who doesn't. They use it as a tool, but it's
That's all I'm thinking. I'm like, how can I?
They see it.
That's why I take pictures.
Yeah. I'm going to show you a couple of videos. Please don't judge. This is a no judgment room, okay? I ended up finding videos of things that I did. I actually did a hybrid course and also taught for a MOOC. So I had to create these videos, and they were for ESL learners. So the vocabulary had to be appropriate for ESL learners. So I'm not teaching an undergraduate course, these words or these things. So just to bear with it. But I just want to show you, I use this one as an introduction to a unit, and I'll just show you part of it. I'm not going to bore you with all of it. Notice the background, first of all, that I have here. Global, tried to use that a little bit. You can see what's happening in there. Let me go back, I'm sorry. Right.
So Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein. Do you know what they're famous for? All three of these men are famous for being
So
a
I was
genius.
trying to get students ready to
Leonardo da Vinci.
and teach a
Let's
little
think
bit
about that. Oh, he was a famous painter. What about Sir Isaac Newton?
So I'm asking
What is he
questions to
famous
try to
for?
engage them, even though I can't hear their answer.
He was an English physicist and mathematician. And if you know anything about the laws of motion,
Video. Yeah.
you've probably heard his name. And what about Albert Einstein?
Okay, so I'm adding things into there, you know. Well, here, this is what I,
The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Albert Einstein was his funny
so
hair.
I'm trying to connect with students in that way. If I use it as an introduction to a unit, you can actually use it to teach a lesson. And this one, I actually chose to try, this was something I was trying, can you use a whiteboard behind you? And this actually was in a room that had an angle on it. So no matter how I put I just used actually a computer just like this. This is all I had was my computer, and did it with this Screencast-O-Matic. Trying to put it on a box. I was actually trying to get rid of my double chin, but you know, it didn't work because I would have had to put it like this. But anyway, here I am with this whiteboard behind me, kind of at an angle, but take a look at how it looks. This is to teach a lesson. Hello. What do you know about
Being a genius.
Maybe you know a lot about geniuses.
Have you heard of the word?
And you can still see the whiteboard. It still shows up in here.
A prodigy is also a genius. When you think about the people like Albert
So I'm
Einstein,
listing them again.
Michelangelo, and Leonardo
It
da
was
Vinci,
actually listening, speaking, reading,
the word
writing.
genius or prodigy might come to mind. But do you have somebody maybe in your community that's a genius too?
Now I'm making a
Maybe
think about their
like your
lives.
grandfather, maybe it's your sister, maybe it's even you.
So even though I can't see the students, I actually try to teach it as if the student's right there. So think about that when you're creating your video, that you do that. Another one, this is Jana Detloff, those of you that know her, and she used the whiteboard, and she was teaching, in this case, a pretty intense lesson, as you can see
My
from
name is
behind.
Jana Detloff, and I'm very happy to
And
speak
we
with
actually
you
did a little
today
editing with
about
this, where
active
we
and
added
passive
some
voice.
things to it.
Voice is something that we do with verbs. Just like you have tenses or number with verbs, we also have voice. And there are two kinds of voice. We have active and passive.
So if you don't know about active and passive voice, you can go ahead and look at these slides later and learn all about it. You'll know what to talk about. So she does a great job teaching it. And after this video, actually, there was a quiz that was included with this. So in the LMS that we did. The other type of video I did was actually an explanation of written concepts, because I didn't know if our students would understand our code of conduct for SNC. Actually, they had a link to the code of conduct, but then I used appropriate language for our ESL students so they would understand. I wrote this out here: be kind, respectful, do things on time, and do your own work. And I talked about it in this video. So you can see many of the videos that I was listening to What You Want, they're here. These are videos created.
So these are videos I created at Purdue. So I just want to click play on the first one. So
how do you know if the sources you found are trustworthy? How do you know if the argument presented is valid? If you're not using a source your professor has explicitly okayed, there are several components you can check to determine the source's credibility.
right. So
Let's talk about
what
scholarly.
we did with this was more text-based, so there's no actual visuals of people. We do like screen casting, screen grabbing, so that we are on the same screen that we want the users to use. And then it was more, we would pull out certain keywords or phrases and have that text appear to kind of re-emphasize or reiterate an important point that we wanted the user to get. And then my friend Langston, who was working at Purdue with me, actually did all the narration for my tutorials. So I would write out a script for him, and he would just sit down and read that script into the computer microphone, and we would go through and edit it and match it up with the visuals I had captured. So there are no people in any of my tutorials because these live on the Purdue YouTube site, and then were linked into various web pages that were related to the tutorial that we created.
So what software did you use to record it?
This was all in Adobe, which was what we used at Purdue. The campus had the software package, so you wouldn't be able to exactly replicate this because of Adobe's features, but you could easily replicate this using like Google Slides here on campus. And yeah, if you want to show this, this is a very similar, we use the campus branding.
How do you search in the library database or as
How do you
searching?
brand your videos?
Do you think
So they
about
match
what
the
words you're
campus
using and how they're
visuals.
combined? Regardless of where you end up searching, you need to consider what you're searching for. The best way to approach searching a thing.
You can see the differences in those type of videos, but depending on your audience.
Yeah.
You know, so think about your audience. Think about who needs to view the videos that you're creating. I also use this as a tutorial for technology because I was doing an online course. I needed to talk to students about how to use the technology itself. So I actually housed the video in my Google Drive and then sent them a link into their email so they could learn how to sign up for the course or to learn about the course. And
Hello from St.
in
Norbert
this
College
one,
Center for Global Engagement.
Here I am.
Just wanted to send you a
Not very
quick video to
big,
show you
but I'm
how
ready
to
to connect.
register on the course.
To realize
You
I'm a
go
real
to
person.
www.schoology.com.
And now
You'll
they
be
can
able
see my
to
screen, and
get
we're
to
going
the
to be talking
site
about
where
how
you
you're
sign
doing
up
it.
as
This is
a
my
student.
computer screen.
From here, they're going to ask for that access code, and the access code that you found that was sent to you. Go ahead and submit.
And this one, I actually was showing them how to use the ebook because we assume
Course
students know how to
choices,
use. This goes farther
the
in
course
here. We
choices
think that
and
students know how to use
hit
ebooks,
enter.
but they don't.
I want
So
to
I
show
actually
you
was
the
able then to
first part of
show
our
them
unit one.
How to actually use it,
Maybe
you
wanted to
take
ask
notes
some
in there
questions
to do
focused
things
on the
like that.
topic that we'll be talking about in class.
I have a question. Do you think the video would have been as successful or is as successful because you're in it? Or do you think it would have had the same audience and same person that you're not in it? I'm just asking.
Well, I would love to be out of it, but actually research is showing when students connect with you and if they see you, at least in the beginning videos, in this case, they were beginning videos so that they see you as I was doing introduction videos. Once they've made that connection with you, then you can do videos without you in it, if they hear your voice or with someone else, but really important, if you want students to be engaged, and we know that students being engaged or participants being engaged, it's really what you want, otherwise there's no point in having the video. Once they're engaged, then you can start, like if you want to take yourself out sometime, I should say it that way, but if you want to be outside of that video, it's fine. But be careful, it depends, again, who's your audience and what are you doing it for? Tutorial, I think it was great the way that, like Elena was doing it there too, because it was something that was housed in, for that tutorial for those things. So, do you think it's as effective? What's your opinion?
It's kind of a nuisance to see it at the bottom. I'd rather see the whole thing and then or half split screen, because otherwise I'm not looking at you. I mean, sure,
That's
you're
the point,
there,
no.
but it's just a little picture at the bottom.
Right.
So it's kind of a nuisance.
Okay, yep. And there are different tools that you can make the person bigger, you can put them smaller. And when you do a full screen, it's a little different. If it's on your phone, it looks a little different too. So knowing that most of my students are probably going to be looking at it from their phones, because internationally the phones are used more than computers. So it's something to think about. Good question. So this one is another video that was created actually by students. Again, just using this computer, Screencast-O-Matic, a free tool, and then using our WeVideo licenses that we have here on campus. This was created as to help promote St. Norbert College to other international students in this case from
मेरा नाम फरियाद है, मैं बिजनेस की स्टूडेंट हूँ और मेरा ताल्लुक पाकिस्तान से है। मेरा एसएमसी में बहुत अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस रहा है। मैं कुछ चीज़ों के ऊपर बात करूँगी, सबके लिए तो टाइम नहीं है।
What we did is created this video, uploaded it into, and went to edit it in WeVideo. We added all of these things. You're going to see that we added, not only did we add her voice and the branding of St. Norbert, but we went ahead and added, you can see other pictures, some that were taken off of the WeVideo site that worked, but also some of her own personal pictures went in here so she could talk about her experiences. She wanted, for some reason, wanted to show her food that she ate, and I was like, I don't think this looks so great, but I knew she understood the people that she was actually wanted to talk to. So, I think about all the great things here we have at SMC, and this is the plate she chose to use, but, and then added actual video and things like that inside of the video. It was kind of, again, making, it's not just a talking head. She did the variety in there. And then once we uploaded it into YouTube, we could now put it in English. It wouldn't do it automatically. It's not a very great translation. We have to go ahead and do that. But that's not an issue that you probably have. We have a lot of resources here at St. Norbert College, and also you have these resources. Some of you have them maybe already. You have licenses to these. Did you want to talk about a couple of them that I've not used? GarageBand.
So I'm a Mac user. So I primarily, since I've been at SMC, I use primarily iMovie, Audacity, and GarageBand. iMovie and GarageBand are both Apple products, and so they're already on my Mac. And so iMovie, you can go in, and it's really easy to make videos. It's like mostly drag and drop features. And then GarageBand, you can go in and edit audio. You can record right from your computer and then go in and edit that and easily drag and drop it onto an iMovie. So that's been my preferences. And also I would say it's really easy these days to teach yourself any of these tools because there are so many tutorials on YouTube. You can go into YouTube, type in how do I use blah, 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 and you can find some talking head showing you how to use that. And then that's also a great way to pick up other tutorial skills you might want to copy and add into your own videos and see what people on YouTube are doing that you'd like to copy.
And we have the Screencast-O-Matic licenses here, so if you want that license and the editing tools that come with that, that is something that's not free. You can do the free version and then the licenses, and we have them here. We also have, you can use that free version, which we're going to do a free Screencast-O-Matic. WeVideo, we have licenses for as well. And I just want to really put a plug in for our Tech Bar students. If you are creating a video and you want help editing, they are awesome. So you can either make an appointment with them, just like you sign up for the Writing Center, or you can just drop in. I can help you with it as well. I've been working with the editing tools, but it's just, you need help. Don't just sit there being frustrated and spending hours and hours. I'll probably show you some quick, tips with it as well. But go on and search as well if you want. So it's your turn. You're going to create a video today. So I want you to, we talked a little bit about what kind of videos do you want to create. So with your computers, if you don't have a computer, we do have a few extra ones in here. Would like you to either in PowerPoint, Google Slides, create 4 slides. But first, before you do that, what's your goal? Content, audience. Think about those things, and it's really important before you even start to create a video to know those things. And in this case, since it's just a practice, I don't care if you want to show them how to make peanut butter and jelly. I mean, just a how-to type of video. But think about it if you're trying to do a training. Like, are you going to try to show them how to go to a web page or to how to, look through St. Norbert's web pages? Do something that works because you can screencast those web pages and how you're doing things just as you saw me doing the videos. So create 4 slides or know which websites you're going to go to that you'll go to 4 different things. Then you're going to practice what you plan to present. Once that happens and you come back in, or if you stay right in here, there's some other quiet spaces if you want to, but this is pretty easy. We'll go out maybe to record later. So you can probably stay in here to practice. I will set you up with the video tool and you get to try it. Anything you want to tell them, Elena? No. Okay, so just think of something. It doesn't have to be anything great. This is just practice. You will be in the video. We're going to make sure that you're in the video as well. So think about what you want to say and how you can just a minute or 2 video. It should be really quick one. Go ahead. Anybody need a computer? Do you need a computer?
I do.
Okay. We have computers here. Are you a Mac or a
PC?
PC. Okay, so this is the PC right here. Yep. Anyone else need a computer? Do you need a computer?
Yeah.
We have Mac. We have Mac. Is there PC anyplace else? Are you a Mac user? Can you use Mac? Sure. No, you see.
I'm gonna move this.
If you have a presentation that you've already used and you want to grab 4 of those slides out of that presentation, that's a great way to do it as well.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah. Which is, when do you feel like it's most appropriate to create a video or a tutorial? And when does it just look like ridiculous?
Well, and as a matter of fact, I was just talking to the group over there because, students that get some of these digital things and they're like, and I know the case that was talking about eagles flying out, crazy. Yeah, it's really, you have to know that. I think videos are important. It's something that you have to explain over and over again.
Okay.
Something that is better to see visually than just in text.
Okay.
So I think those are things to think about. Or, like to talk about St. Norbert or to show St. Norbert. I mean, there's no comparison in saying, oh, it's a beautiful campus to showing a video of St. Norbert. Just things to think about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything to add to that?
Okay, explore and record. I don't even know where to begin to look for the software that you
Yep, we're going to show you the software after you
Oh,
create your 4 slides and know what you're going to say. Then I'm going to show you all that stuff.
oh, okay.
Okay?
Got it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Slide or
You can do PowerPoint. You can use anything.
we're going to. Okay, so where do you do that? Okay.
I've never used Google Slides. I know PowerPoint.
Sure, you can do PowerPoint too. If you want to do that. Okay. Straightforward slides. Okay.
Raw.
Sometimes it's like thinking about them how to shoot video or something, like, think about all our student workers, they all need to learn how to do timesheets. Many of them don't know how to do their timesheets, but wait until you do a video actually showing them how to fill out a timesheet. So if they have a question, like, go back here, That's something you can show students over and over again. How to go to forms, how to log into something. Sometimes it's like
Versatile too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't have to be related to school.
Yeah.
You like how to tie your shoe. Yeah, some shoes.
And now, what's your favorite meal to make? You know, you can talk about that, and you can do it as, you can find images of, How do you find the SNC favorite holiday? It doesn't matter, it's fine, it's just the idea. Right? Like, everything, you look at your grandma, Facebook page or whatever.
Yeah. Or just do it at the beginning of something. It doesn't have to be a complete video, just like.
Well, this particular one.
It's like, is the dog holding him back or is he holding the dog back? It's so hard to tell. Now we don't need the dog.
Professional pro. People do this now. Then do what with it? Upload it on LinkedIn or something? Hi, I'm on
Non-moving screenshots, with things circled in arrows, or is it better to have video like, oh, look, I'm clicking here, oh, look, I'm clicking here.
Well, it depends how much notifications. It's because you put it where it's actually being like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or it could be more stuff, like a screenshot.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you do a screen grab, you probably can't do it after half an year. But I use something called a snippet tool. Is that pretty much what you use? And then you put the circle with the arrows with the highlight. Yeah.
And you can use it for both too. That might be.
Yeah.
And then it's just easy when we can't see the view.
Nice big. I have like, but you know what software are you gonna use for this?
Just try it,
Okay. Which does what on like a lot.
Yes, I use iMovie strategy. Right, not that you can also use like a video.
So you're making a video and we video. But so if I'm using the camera, how do I have the camera and the computer screen options? Or I don't?
You can usually use split screens and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that would probably be great. You can use like screen caps. You can follow your notes and there and other can be a video and you want to have yourself.
And are your videos looking at the same time?
You can, if you want. Okay. You could do one or the other.
Okay.
Like how Susan had in the corner.
Yeah.
This can be most of the shot.
Um,
And you could do it that way.
But you would film it simultaneously, so you would have to do it once with your face and the second time with your screen. You could just do it all the same. Okay.
Bless you.
Whenever this person is listening,
CG brand.
Yeah, she doesn't have that at all. Yeah, I don't think that I can add, but we should create that folder and we should add people in the corner. So, can't move things out of it, we know that.
yeah, don't get me started.
Actually, no, he's still on.
I have that problem where I'm at work and I'm working on this and then I pull up on my desktop and I'm like, wait, what? There's like no mouse going on. And I'm trying to do this stuff like that.
Is there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my kids have
Yeah. Yeah.
You must ask the owner to.
That's what I was afraid about. Depends if you locked it. I don't know that right now. Yeah, no,
This is our screen, yeah, like where is it now?
I would wonder how we locked it in there, yeah. So I'm wondering if we could, not in the folder, but if we just.
Sorry, my whole neighbor.
No.
maybe here. It's this, so you think it's like, yeah. Signing council images. Yeah.
Illuminator.
Yeah. Oh, so these images.
So here, okay, so if you're gonna put it in Google Slides, have you ever put it in Google Slides?
Shall we go around again?
It's called word marks.
I'll send you an email, what it is, and then you can.
wasn't shared. But it's the receipt.
Hate being, I'm sorry, I hate being in front of anything. I like to be behind it. That's why I take pictures. That's why I'm like, always behind it. They're like, Natasha, when you do it well. I'm like, I am. I'm sitting on the side keeping score. I'm sitting there taking pictures. I'm doing everything I can to avoid being where everybody else is. So this is hard. I don't want to do anything. That's why I do what I do. And I'm telling David, I do the short end of the stick, so he owes me big time for this one, because you can't see him doing this.
Well, I also don't think we must have any.
He wants, and that's the whole thing, he wants to do, like, our new training students, and not necessarily just like a year, so we can bust it out for the summer, like, how do you offer money? Or, that kind of stuff, and so that's what I thought, this is gonna be, and so I'm like, solid, I can handle that, right? You go to yours, I'll do that, and now. Yes, and that's why I think he wants to just get the basis to see and discuss it later. I think that's why he wants to.
12% of the rooms here are but I might be
Our students.
Yeah.
Totally.
I have the students every year that came here.
And that's what we did with our manuals, we started off with us and then just kind of follow along, make sure they got the concept of everything behind it, so it's no different. They were just inputting just as much as we were, so. This is hard for me, I don't like this, this is here, our little person with our table lift. She had the right idea.
I just realized time frame too. So when because I don't know any of this. Yeah. Because I know how to do that. I know how to do slideshows and presentation before, but like editing and like visuals and stuff like that. I've worked with Adobe before, like Illustrator and things like that. But I don't know, like Google's, I don't know, some of these other programs, which I'm assuming
will use a PC.
Yeah. Or is that something that I'll probably have to?
So, yeah,
to continue with, I'll have to.
I would go ahead and pull up the Screencast-O-Matic.
So let me show you about Screencast-O-Matic, and so you can try it even with your one slide, your two slides, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And you can just use your webcam as well, just to do a talking, that just so they see you. So you're going to go to screencast-o-matic.com, and you can see it on your monitors as well. So screencast-o-matic. Screencast-O-matic.com. Once you're here, you're going to click on Start Recording for free. You don't need to sign in at this point. We're just going to practice with it. Start recording for free, and then you're going to have to launch the free recorder. So go ahead and click on Launch Free Recorder. It'll ask you for some permissions to open this screen recorder launcher. Do you see it? Is everyone with me? Kind of, yeah. All right. So open it, click on that. It'll probably take about 30 seconds or less. The recorder should be launched in a bit, and you will see the outside of what's going to be recorded. You can see that dotted line. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I want you to do. Once you see that, go ahead and there's this black box that's on the bottom corner. You'll see that you can capture your screen. Are you not there, Gail? Okay, let me just wait a little bit. So you launched?
Yeah.
I didn't pop up like that.
Okay, let me take a look at it. Yours is ready to go.
Yeah, and then I came up with this, and then I did that, and then I hit my box.
Go backwards.
Yeah, sure.
So just click on this.
Okay. Great. So I did, and then, do we go ahead and? Yeah. So I didn't know, I was like, mine was prompting me to do other things, so I wanted to wait. Ignore all the clutter in the background.
No judgment here, I'm telling you. You're gonna see a circle.
Are you sure you want to?
Yeah, is it coming?
No.
So when you click on it, what does it say? We've already given you the installer, asking for permission to microphone. So can you show me your desktop?
That's
You're gonna see a circle with that.
I can start.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's only to go back into my screen. Yeah.
So we want to open this. It might even be behind this now. It might be behind.
Like,
Yeah.
like, on my screen up?
There it is. It's right there. So that's where you're gonna go with it, but then you're gonna put it, because you're gonna put it in your slides, right?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do that.
All right, so everyone's in that part of it? Yes? Okay, so what I want you to do is try the different cameras. You can do the screen that you'll see. That will only show the screen if you click on that bottom black box. You have webcam, and you should be able to see yourself depending on which camera. If you have make sure you're choosing the right camera. If you don't know which camera to choose, go ahead and look at that for the webcam. And then you have both. So you can do one with both where you'll see yourself a little bit in the corner there. Is everyone still with me? We're good? Now, if you want to pull up your presentation or your slides, you just click on that tab or open those slides up. You can adjust how much you're actually recording. You can change the size of that actual recording window.
You're still. So
it's in the background.
Yours is in the background.
But it won't play over the.
So if you,
Where's the present button?
so now you can change the size of that screen. You can make it smaller or bigger. And whatever you see inside of it, that's what's recorded. Okay. And all you do now is you hit the record button. It'll go 3, 2, 1.
So what if you wanted to flip to like the live website?
Okay, and then you would do this. Go to your tab. And whatever new tab it is, wherever that live website is. Okay, and then it's going to do the live website now. It'll record that while you're.
Oh, but only this box.
Only the box. So you have to scroll up and down, or somehow you can make this smaller so you can see more of it. Your actual. You can do the plus, 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 minus, minus, minus to make these words bigger or smaller. And that works in there too. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then.
But how do I?
Okay, so
How do I move this out of the way?
It will just go away. It will not
when
be
you
there.
hit record.
Mhm.
I see
So,
it.
mhm.
Okay.
So if you decide you want to do screen, you don't want to do you do try it with both to see what that looks like. You do get that small person in the bottom here, which happens to be you. You might change your webcam to a front camera. There you are. Okay. I'll step away before you do that. And then once you hit record down there, it'll go 3, 2, 1. And it's record.
Switch to another screen.
And you can go to every different tab you want to go to. You can go back to your presentation, back and forth.
Just try it.
Aw,
You would have a lot of
that's
outside
nice.
noise, but, you know, try it once.
So I think it being our computer, they
Where's
don't
the
allow
record button?
Oh, here it is.
So I don't
I'm
think
not
she-
actually gonna say anything. Oh.
It's the library's.
Oh, so sweet.
I wanna see.
Oh, but you can't change the.
I don't necessarily need to re-record it. I understand, like,
I'm with you there.
and how do you put that image or that on like the PowerPoint?
How do you stop recording?
I need to know that.
I got it to
Here
record.
in a second.
So is it recording all things that are like this? And you can decide how you want to.
Oh,
And this is.
so I wonder if I change this, does it move it up? So you run it higher than your talk rather than.
Either watch this. But if you wanted to just do having, like I did when I was doing
Into
it doesn't make bigger, but this is what you see, and once you do that, and once you don't. Okay. Don't see this, you know, start wherever you want, and then you hit record, goes to 3, 2, 1, and you're done. You can either delete it, you can start it again, or keep it, and it just goes through like that.
Oh, let's not do that. You can see it needs to.
Yeah, I can pull it up right now.
When you do that on Sunday, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, so like let's.
Yeah,
say-
or when I first opened it,
Say
then
I
I opened
wanted
in the
to
background
click
here.
this.
And now we can do that.
Yeah. Click here.
You did this. You want to do
Yeah.
something, you did all of that.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
It is.
It's covered.
Okay, yeah.
So it like pops up like it's going to do something.
Oh, so every time I was hitting stop, it was.
Change the box size once it recorded.
It just kept recording.
How do you stop recording? You gotta pause it. Oh,
Oh, we figured out, this is a recording of our questions.
I just got that too.
Technical assistance.
Where is it right now?
So it pops, the little button pops up and then it goes away. So it just comes up in my.
So I have a question for you. Are you familiar with this?
Not really, but.
Okay, so like in my imaginary world here, I've got this thing, right? I'm supposed to be seeing what's on it and then upload.
Oh, look, it
this
recorded
into
the
actual
task bar
presentation.
thing.
So how the heck am I supposed to know?
Everything you do on your computer.
Because mine is not like theirs, where it's on the same screen. I have to flip
Oh,
it.
look at.
And it's just like, no, you're knowing, but it is. I
Ah,
tried.
so what's this?
I tried changing my screens, it's not letting me do it, so evidently next one.
Oh, pinnable trees. Look at
Okay, then go to screencastify.com. It'll do the same thing, so Screencastify. Yeah, go to Screencastify.
You probably won't dance. I'm related to go to one, you know.
It's my favorite part about software. What does this button do? Let's turn the volume down a little bit.
Whatever. That's what I'm hearing.
Specifically for.
Institutional. Oh, right now.
I probably
Oh, closed caption.
Yes.
Captions from file. Interesting. How would you do that? Load captions from a text file.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'd have to stick to it, but it'd be, because I have found a lot of errors whenever I use that, and nothing ever.
Yeah, my machine, I know, I'm signing my way. I am another. Wait.
And then not uploading.
You'll want that. I know that you'll want that one.
How do I stop it?
Oh, we can even upload.
Oh, upload only. Oh, cheeky. Well, because we would put everything on, because when you do the video editing, it's cascade, and then all of the links go to.
So then I do. Okay, so oh my gosh, this is just no. Just imagine
There you are. You're gonna get recorded.
So like this isn't mine, like right now, like I have nothing. Like I don't know what I'm looking at. This is my screen where it's top. And then if I go to this one, I gotta do all this other stuff. Sorry.
Did you guys? Yeah, I was fucking around with it. Yes, I did. Yeah, it was really easy, and I'm assuming they just kind of saved it as. Good. I have to play around with it. That's for sure.
It feels like, right? It's the end of the day. Let's go.
Oh, okay.
Did you try it?
Yeah.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Is it something that simply would be easy to use?
Yeah.
Okay. We do have other ones, video. I just wanted to tell you it was simple to try.
Yeah. No, this was good.
I hope that you get some good information about creating videos.
Once I get rolling, I'll probably.
You can send me any questions. Absolutely.
Take one of these earlier.
I think this will be cool.
So if you want to, go for this session.
You know what? You're not using me. So we're doing screen, right? So I went there, and then it cost me to go to another. Okay, like, I don't know, I'm not looking at my. So
That'd be great.
that's a lot of, I know, it's a lot going on. So this is, she said, make a presentation. I'll make sure you look easy. I do not. Oh, why not? So I take all the pictures from the kids. So I did that, then we went to the screen recorder. I had the screen recorder open. Then it prompts me to go over
What?
here. And then, like, so I record, but then I just start.
Oh, this?
Oh. Then it was like, oh.
I did not see that.
Totally ask myself, so a couple people, then I'm like, oh, we do it on this one. Did you have issues?
Exactly.
I can see a lot of.
It's like, what David did things because we have all these.
Oh, you know what?
Do a mass training on like how to run Vimium. Just on things. She's like, well, the students do it, and they don't really need to have their video. It's more of an overlay of what I see more than people see me. You know, see me or not, whatever. So like you can see the sense, but not the same sense that. Okay, so I recorded it. I have 11:21 seconds.
Okay.
Done.
So this is the best. I think it's the best. Can I share? Yes.
Am I editing?
Yeah.
Or saving?
So
I'm gonna close this down.
It's up to you.
Why, you're not in tomorrow?
I don't want this is what's going on. I want those. slideshow. That I just, you know what I'm saying? That's what she has.
So you want like any slideshow to be.
I want the slideshow, the main point, and then me down here talking. Like, I know it has nothing to do with one other, but just the fact that.
So I think,
So once you say done,
go ahead and like say, let's do it all over.
All right. Well, I will see you when I see you then.
And I.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not playing.
Okay, so you're.
No, it's like, right.
Well, when you open up the slide.
In this browser?
Yes.
What's this, I mean, that's like, I don't know what it is in my mind. The time is always wrong with my mind. That's where I think I'm having this problem. It's like,
Yeah, because you got like two different desktops.
right, there's probably more than two. Right there. So in order for this to work, I have to be working in the same desktop. That's what I have. So I'm just like, merge it together. That's what I did. So, okay, so, just having fun. Instructs me, Taylor. So we were trying the, whatever, and so I have a presentation